Well, the Lightnings are trying to be the first team since 1942 to come back from 3 games to 1 to win the Stanley Cup final. The Lightning took Game 5 tonight in spectacular fashion, 3-2. I'm here with Kyle Sullivan and Chris Masilli of Locked On Avalanche, and for the first time ever in this series, let's roll that Locked On Lightning theme.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome to another episode of Locked On Lightning, part of the
EDM vibe going, man.
Network. I'm Adam Danker, and this is a crossover special with the two bozos from the Locked On Avalanche podcast with Abbott and Costello here, Chris Masilli and Kyle Sullivan, Shaggy Von Doom. And this is the first episode, guys. It seems almost like, I had to kind of twist your arms to get on here because it's the first episode we're doing of the crossover where we're having lightning music finally.
You threw out I gotta work tomorrow as the excuse, like, and I bought it, hook, line, and sinker. I bought it.
I mean, I do, but I mean, who really needs to be awake for that? So on this episode of on this episode, we'll obviously be recapping that somewhat controversial game from tonight. So I'm going to throw it towards you guys real quick. Start with you, Kyle. How are we feeling after this game? Because I sent out a cheeky tweet saying, I don't know if this game was in Colorado or Montreal with the amount of whining or groaning from the fan base there in Colorado. So how are you feeling from this game thus far?
Well, I mean, of course, naturally you're a little disappointed, but the Lightning are asking the Avalanche to lose as many games as they have lost all playoff long. You're asking them to lose 3 in a row, and they lost all up until tonight, 3 losses in the playoffs. So it's a tall task. I mean, you would love to, take the cup home now that it's in Ball Arena, but I guess we got to go on mushy ice to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said in the last episode. It's just everything was set up nicely for the Avalanche to do this, and it would have just, from an Avalanche standpoint, been a good story. Now you just have to go back to Tampa, and it's not like the Avs can't do this. Just like we were saying, Tampa could very well win this game. They did. The Avalanche can very well go back into Tampa and win that game. They've proven it already in these playoffs when they had a bad loss at home against St. Louis, and the fan base was just like, I'll book my ticket for Game 7 because going back to St. Louis, and St. Louis is going to win, and the Avs took that game. So, and by no means am I saying this is going to be easy, just like it wasn't easy for Tampa.
Yeah.
So this is what we were expecting from this series. I thought it was a good game. Tampa, you do have these moments where each team is kind of like taking control, and then the other team takes it back.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about these two teams is, like, we said from the beginning, like, these are the teams that deserve to be here, and they're showing that to you. And it's like Avalanche will seem like they have everything going for them, and then Tampa takes it back. And man, that forecheck from Tampa is something the Avs have to figure out for going into Game 6, because it's so tough for the Avalanche to get their speed past Tampa when they are on them.
Yeah,
it's just so difficult. And I think I put up a tweet where there was like 11 or 12 minutes left, saying, like, you get the vibe of like the next goal is going to win this game, and that's exactly what happened. It's a great series. It continues to be a great series, and I feel bad for Tampa fans that the Avs are going to have to carry that Stanley Cup around in front of them. What are you going to do?
Well, it's funny that you brought up the forecheck, because I really thought that the Lightning did a very good job on the opposite end of the ice tonight. I thought you saw it early on in the series that, with the amount of pressure that Colorado was forcing their way into their own zone. And you saw, it wasn't as intense as we've seen in past games in this series, especially early on. But it was still there. There was a lot of sequences in which Tampa was basically treading water with their head barely above the surface, and I thought they did a fantastic job of not panicking when they were trying to clear the puck. And I think that was really what was the defining factor in this game. Obviously, other than clutch and opportunistic goal scoring, but and we'll get into all of it more, but you know, at least on my side, I was telling Kyle before you jumped on, Chris, when we were talking crap about you. We were saying I was telling him how you know, I was losing my mind during these power plays with the Lightning, because especially I believe it was the second one right before Kucherov scored. It seemed like the Lightning at times during the power play just went back into the somewhat of a turtle shell. They were kind of just doing too much and just not just taking the easy shots or taking advantage of the space that was in front of them, even if it was a foot or even half a foot there. What were some of the things in this game? You know, either of you jump in here, but what were some of the things in this game that you saw from Tampa that you thought, other than their forecheck, that was really the defining factor?
Good, Kyle.
That second period, the tempo, you could really feel it. You, as an Avalanche fan, if you're sitting there and you're watching your team having to set up offensive transition like right behind the net, you know you're in trouble. The pressure, and it was the Avs, you just cannot move. And for them to capitalize on one power play, it was enough. We were talking about in the last episode that their power play was atrocious, 7.1% going into the game. That's not a good number. And for them to make that one goal matter, Vasilevsky let in some ugly goals, and so did Darcy Kemper. But like, Tampa's pressure was just too much, and it was that second period's really where it really shifted the game.
Yeah, I would have rather taken Vasilevsky's goals that he let up than the ones that Kemper let up any day of the week.
Yeah.
And, you know, for the Avs, it was kind of, they were getting, to me, this was all Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
The Tampa defense did, you know, we're sitting here talking about their defense, how good they played and how great their forecheck was. Avalanche still got 37 shots on goal. So, you know, it's like, and that kind of surprised me when I saw that number, because it's like, man, the Avs are struggling, I guess, to get, you know, good exits. But when they did, which just seemed like so few and far between, okay, they were bringing the puck up ice, and then they were getting shots on net. And this was like the total opposite of Game 5, because what did Tampa have? 30 something shots blocked.
Yeah.
Close to 40 shots blocked. And I'm looking it up now.
15.
Yeah.
So the Avs figured that out to, you know, get pucks around them and get pucks, you know, towards the net. It was just an Andre Vasilevsky show, in my opinion. And yeah, they had some puck luck to get the goals that they got. And on the other end, I would say even that last goal that Darcy Kemper gave up, it just seemed like he just wasn't gripping the stick tight enough, because there was some force on that, and the blade of the goalie stick kind of like turned inward, and it just scooted behind him. And what are you going to do? So, but the first, who had the first one? Was it Ruda?
Yeah, that was
95 mile an hour shot.
That's got to get stopped. I don't care if it was 105 miles an hour. That's got to get stopped. It does.
I was the goal for me, at least, you know, I mean, obviously getting on the board, and I've spoken about it, is very important first for the Lightning. But that moment was almost bittersweet for me, because I was even there, and I'm sure a lot of Lightning fans were sitting there like, that should have been saved.
Oh, 100%.
And I almost messaged Kyle right after that and said, are we going to get bad Darcy tonight? And I really thought so, because there was moments where you kind of saw him. It almost looked like Kemper was battling his inner demons at certain saves in the game, because you saw one where it was a hard save and he had to scramble, and he looked like he was matching Vasilevsky in that regard. And then there was other simple saves where it kind of seemed like he was struggling. And you kind of saw that from Vasilevsky tonight. It seemed like, you know, as well as both these guys played overall, I think Kemper played a very good game, regardless of the goals that he let up. you didn't really see kind of like that playoff moment out of either goaltender. And I think it's because, you know, we're in game 5 and you have the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions backed up against the wall against a team who, and we'll kind of get more into this into the second half, but it seemed like you guys were kind of, we're gripping your sticks a little bit too tight early on. You could tell there was a lot of tension in the building. Obviously, the Stanley Cup's in the building, and you have a chance to clinch at home, so that's obviously nerve-wracking. But you didn't really see. You had big moments here and there from your goaltenders, but we didn't really see overall great performances where, you know, if Colorado did clinch tonight, we weren't going to go back and say, wow, Darcy Kemper played a spectacular game when the Avalanche clinched.
I thought they both. I thought Vasilevsky played a great game, and I thought Darcy Kemper played a good game. And you know, he's always good for one of those goals almost every game. One of those goals where you look at it and you're like, you have to stop that.
Yeah.
And he usually lets at least one of those through. And for the entirety of the season, the Avalanche have be able to overcome that. But it's not. You know, we're in the Stanley Cup final against Tampa Bay and, you know, Andrei Vasilevsky. Like, you can't give those up. And if he doesn't, it's a whole nother game. But yeah, other than that, and I hate saying other than that because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I think he played well. We're not talking about who's going to be the goalie for game 6. You know what I mean? We're not talking about that.
And when it came to that game 5 win, I mean the game 4 win, a lot of the Avalanche fans were saying if you would have told us going into that game that Darcy was going to let up 2, you felt good about that game. Right. When Darcy lets up 2 or maybe 3, as in the case in game 5, the offense has to back him up. And it just, other than like Nichushkin really being involved in majority of the plays, we weren't getting the help that we needed. And it also falls back to that pressure because there were not any comfortable shots. There was not that really valiant pressure. And it has to work hand in hand. And to your point earlier, Adam, about Darcy Kemper letting up that ugly one, he started really looking good in that first period, especially at the end, that you felt confident in it. And then the rest of them just falling apart. And yeah, it looks like he's starting to doubt himself again. And I don't know what we're going to have to do about that in game 6.
I don't know if I'd say he's doubting himself. I don't feel like he's doubting himself. I don't. I feel like he like maybe not as a whole, not as like I can't go out there and perform. I think maybe he's doubting himself. It's like, am I going to let up one of those goals?
Yep. Right.
You know what I mean? I think in that aspect you're right. But I think he's kind of gained some confidence back. And, you know, all right, I only let up 3. We'll say it now. If he lets up 3 in the next game, being an Avalanche fan, is that okay for you? Would you be comfortable if he lets up 3 with this offense? I think against any other team, you would say, yeah, maybe. But, you know, if Vasilevsky's on, getting 4 is tough. It's tough. Yeah. It really is.
Well, I think, you know, and we'll obviously talk more about this, but I think we're too late in this series to really start playing the goalie juggling game here. Regardless, unless, yeah, I mean, I didn't. If just speaking from a general hockey fan perspective, I just think unless he goes out and gives up 7 goals in game 6, I think, you know, regardless of what happens, and I think at this point, Jared Bednar needs to really just put all his chips on the table and gamble on him and hedge all his bets now. And speaking of hedging your bets, guys, we're going to talk about today's sponsor, and that is BetOnline.
I got an interesting stat when we're done. Go ahead.
All right. Sounds good. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for all your sports betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. Maybe we could put a bet on next year's NBA draft, like Chris on the last episode, of how many trades the Knicks will make during the NBA draft. Yes, 7. Bet over.
Whatever it is, I'll take you over.
So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet online, where the game starts. We'd just like to thank everybody who's listening to this episode on an audio platform or watching us on YouTube. Thank you for making us your first watch or listen of the day. And please go ahead and subscribe to both YouTube channels. Locked on Lightning actually hit 300 subscribers today. So thank you
to
all you that are going out there and hitting that subscribe button. You're the real heroes. You're the real MVP. So, yeah, Chris has a great stat. We'll just jump into that.
Not a great stat. It's just a stat.
Chris's Snapple fact cap stat of the day.
Yeah.
Say that 3 times.
This is Snapple stat fact number 37. High danger shots against Andrei Vasilevsky, 1.
Yeah.
A single high danger shot. Against Darcy Kemper, 3. And those are usually in the 3 to 6 range, I would say.
Yeah.
So for the Lightning, it was on the lower end of where it kind of usually is. And for the Avs, they had 1. They had a single high danger chance. And that you want to up that a little bit. Those are your best opportunities.
Yeah.
So
no, that was something. Improve. Yeah, that was something that I didn't really notice. I kind of thought about it during the first period, and then it kind of just just the game just kind of like wrapped me up. But no, that does make sense as to why this was such a weird sort of game offensively for both teams. Nobody was really getting a lot of chances on rebounds, and you didn't really see anybody doing anything that constructive down low. This was a game, just like in basketball, games are won from the perimeter in some games. This was one from the blue line in the circles.
Yeah. And for the Avs, like Gabe Landeskog makes his living.
Yeah.
Doing the dirty work.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't, it's tough. I mean, he's trying.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't come easy for you. And you look at the Avs power play, which has been great. What were they? 0 for 2? Okay. 0 for 2.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, everything around the perimeter, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's tough to get open looks. And I was talking on Twitter to Vargar, our man Vargar. I don't know when the last time Mikko Rantanen has taken a shot on the power play. It's either Nathan McKinnon or Cale Makar. And Tampa knows that. So it's almost like, okay, fine. Cale Makar or Nathan McKinnon is going to take the shots. Avalanche fans will take that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, those are guys you want taking the shots. But for the longest time, Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen had this dynamic of McKinnon's going to throw a cross-ice pass, and Mikko Rantanen will be Johnny on the spot. And that's just gone away completely. Yeah. It's a 2-man show when it comes to the Avs power play. It's been working, but you'd like to see them incorporate some different wrinkles here and there.
Yeah, and I think that after what we saw in tonight's game, at least from the Lightning perspective, I could say I think as Lightning fans, we're willing to live with that. If we're getting beat by Makar and McKinnon, I think we're fine with that. I was actually, there was a couple of chances, not chances, but there was a couple of sequences where Mikko had the puck down low, and it wasn't like he was trying to shoot. I think there was one where he was kind of skating out towards the boards a little bit to set things up. And for whatever reason, maybe it's because he just hasn't had the opportunities, like you said. I think I'm more afraid of him down low because of his ability to do just a little bit of everything down there. And I mean, you've seen it with Vasilevsky, especially. I mean, he wasn't, like I said before, sharp. Like, he wasn't Vezina trophy winning, Conn Smythe trophy winning Vazzy in this. He was just good enough to give up one less goal than Darcy Kemper. But you saw he's very susceptible to rebounds in this series. And that was something that he kind of played a little dangerous with. And when you have that guy, Mikko Rantanen, down low, that's scary. Like I said, I'd rather be beaten by those 2 other dogs up all the way outside, 10 feet out, instead of right on the doorstep, because I feel like, at least for me, I can't speak for your goaltender, but at least for me, that's the kind of thing that rattles Vasilevsky.
Yeah, Darcy does have issues with rebound control. And also, to Chris's point, I feel like they're intentionally cutting Mikko out of that power play because his bread and butter is Ovechkin's office. Right. That pass is right there in Ovechkin's office, and that doesn't allow a rebound. Like, it's not really conducive to a rebound. So I feel like Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar are kind of trying to generate a rebound for Gabe Landeskog to put in there. And like on nights like Game 5, you're coming up nothing because nothing's working like that. And Vasilevsky, the way the defense plays in front of him, they're almost turning anybody in the slot out instead of like fighting for position. They're opening kind of like paths for a really good shot from the blue line. And I feel like that's really been helping Vazzy out.
Well, on the other side of that, that's kind of been detrimental because that's led to a lot of weird bounces that have led to goals anyway. But on the other side of that, I mean, I could speak for my guys. Killorn has been pretty much a non-factor throughout this entire playoff run, especially in this series. Still looking for his first goal. Corey Perry, who has made a living in front of the net, hasn't really done much throughout this series. We've seen some opportunities, but even when the puck squirts out in front, the Avalanche are doing such a good job of battling for a position down there. And I think they've caught on to that because, you know, Perry has bitten the Lightning the last 2 years in the final with that kind of going off to the side, you know, kind of standing right in front of the goaltender and then peeling off to the side for that rebound. And they've actually, what I saw in tonight's game, which was kind of frustrating because I was like, where was this effort towards Perry when he was playing against the Lightning? You guys are not letting him. You guys are kind of are manually peeling him off before the shot comes in to where he doesn't have a good angle, even if he gets puck possession. And I think eventually, you know, if the Lightning can eventually win Game 6 and send it back to Colorado in Game 7, I think that's going to be something that is eventually going to be maybe a defining play in Game 7. Because you know, we haven't really seen any team really dominate that low slot area.
No, it's tough. It's tough.
Game 7.
Game
7.
So why don't we talk about Game 6?
I just want Corey Perry to play the game and not try to officiate. I would appreciate it.
Here we go. You know what? You guys have been so good about it. Why don't you get it off your chest? Kyle Sullivan.
No, it's not like it is. I'm not going to dwell on this, but I didn't think the officiating was good in the first two periods. I feel like they did what they kind of like repeated themselves from Game 4, and they kind of just like swallowed the whistles in the third period. And 100%. Was the action in the third period not the best? It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was because they were not, and there wasn't anything really egregious, I thought, in the third period where you were like, why wasn't that called? There 100% was in the first and second, where you're like, what is going on here? But then they let things go, and you saw a more fluid game in the third period, which is what you want to see. I don't know, like, and I'm just gonna. You want me to get something off my chest, and I get something off my chest.
Go ahead.
Why can Andrei Vasilevsky just take his helmet off? Why can he just do that? That's not like, and we don't know if it indeed was. If a strap, because he never went back to the bench from what I saw to get it fixed. I know you can just fix it on your own.
Right. Well, from what I saw, as we know from what happened with Kemper in Game 4, they can't blow the whistle dead unless you guys had possession of the puck.
I'm saying, like, if it was
right. My thing from that, what I saw, the puck was at the blue line, so it wasn't really a scoring chance.
Yeah, but he just ripped his helmet off, which you
can't. From what I saw from the angle, you could see the left strap was already unbuckled, and you could kind of start to see it droop to the right. So that was probably part of it.
If you could, well, and that's the other problem I have. ESPN's got to do a hell of a lot better with the replays. They suck at replays. For the fans at home that want to see stuff like that, they're not showing, like they're going back and showing like
3 seconds
goal, which I get. Like, people want to see that, and the game moves fast and the puck is dropped, but stuff like that, like the JT Compher penalty, from what I just saw, I didn't think it was any penalty, and I'm reading things that other people are saying, calling JT Compher stupid for doing that, and I'm like, what did he do? And I didn't get a replay to really see what he did. So ESPN's got to do better. I think overall they're doing okay, but for stuff like replays, they're focusing on. I'll say this: they're focusing on what I don't want them to focus. Focus on me, ESPN. What I want to see. That's all that matters. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with all those cameras, I thought they would have had a better view of that, even of some of the penalties that were called in this game. I mean, Kyle, what was your feelings about Vazzy taking off the mask and just the officiating in general?
Oh, I mean, Tampa does no wrong. I'm glad that John Cooper finally getting his calls. I could sleep at peace tonight. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
It's refreshing to see what Jared Bednar's complaining about. So we get
to so, and it's kind of goofy like that, coupled with Corey Perry continuing to try and get something started with Darcy Kemper by leaving a stick in his equipment somewhere to where he has to get peeled off. Like this is not the first time this happens, and nothing comes of it. So it's a little I'm not going to complain about it because
Right.
I mean I'll never be Cooper and get heard, but like I do appreciate the hockey that's played when the whistles are swallowed, but that 4-on-3 that happened earlier in the game, it just didn't make sense. It really did not make sense, and you don't want these games coming down to just calls and then make up calls and get you back calls.
Yeah, I want to. This is just something, and I don't follow this person, but they are Twitter certified. Vinny Benedetto works for the Denver Gazette, and he said Valenachuskin was riding on the back of a golf cart with ice around his right knee and leg as he walked to the post-game media availability. So take that for what it is.
Yowza!
There you go.
But
Gabe Landeskog did comment.
He dropped the Conn Smythe on his knee. It'll be all
right. Gabe Landeskog is coming from Peter Ball from The Athletic. Gabe Landeskog on the officiating. He said, "I'm not going to get into that. That's something they can continue to do, but we're not doing that." I don't know what that is.
I assume he's throwing. I think he's throwing shade at Cooper, which is
at Cooper. Okay, yeah,
which is sense. Fine. And listen, like I mean, we talked about it in the last episode of Coop. Like, I mean, he even came out afterwards and was like, "I let my emotions get the best of me." I don't think there was any. Right. I don't think there was any sort of trying to let the refs know, hey, keep out for this in the next game kind of thing. I just think I think more so he was just caught up in the heat of the moment, just trying to, he thought the Lightning were in a good spot to win the game and just, felt like the game ended a little too soon, which I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we spoke about it afterwards and I was tweeting about it and I said, listen, I mean, the Lightning won in the Eastern Conference Finals last year against the Islanders off a non too many men call. So, I mean, it goes both ways.
And Jared Bednar was asked, he said, just what Denker just said. It is what it is. You got to roll with the punches. So, tale of two teams.
Yeah. So I mean, it was. I thought, other than the refs, I thought it was a very well played game. It was, and I tweeted it afterwards. I thought this was the best period the Lightning have played all series. This is the kind of play that I was expecting out of this team. The kind of play that we saw them win 2 straight cups with, and I've spoken about this before. It's all a matter of carrying that over, and I really hope they can. I hope they could stay hot, especially on that slushy ice. So moving towards let's talk about Game 6 because I'm sure we could joke about the slushy ice. We could joke about this.
We're not joking about it.
It's real. It's real. I'm keeping things loose here. We keep things loose here on Locked On Lightning, but
loose like the ice.
Oh, absolutely. So how are you feeling going to Game 6? You had the opportunity to clinch at home. You're going back to Amalie, which you've proven you could win in. So you don't have that lingering over your head. But what is, on scale of 1 being not worried at all and 10 being absolute panic mode, where are you guys right now?
I'd say like a 4. I'm not like super nervous because for many reasons, like the Avalanche are a good team. They've shown that they can win on the road. You know what I mean? Like they've only had 1 loss on the road in the postseason.
Yeah.
And these are tight games, and it's just like, you get a bounce here or there, or you get a little bit more puck luck or a breakaway that gets like, and the score is flipped and you've won the game. So this is what we were talking about going into Game 5 was like, what changes need to be made. Yeah. I don't think a ton again. Like this is how it's going to go. You do some minor tweaks here and there. And if, you get some things go your way, you're out on top. So there's no massive adjustments, I feel, that really need to come the Avalanche way.
Yeah, I completely agree with Chris. Like, you approach game 6 as you would game 5. Everything from here on out for Colorado is closeout. All you have to do is do what you have to do. It's a closeout game. Tampa's the one that has a lot to string together. So you just continue doing what you're doing and get to Avalanche hockey first before the Lightning get settled in, because now they have a little bit of confidence. So it's going to be a little bit harder, but maybe you could take advantage of that confidence and maybe wear them out a little bit quicker. Empty the gas tank a little bit.
Let me throw this question out to you guys. Who do you think has more pressure right now? The Avalanche to close this thing out, being up 3-1, or the Lightning to become the dynasty and get 3 in a row? I mean, you can make a case either way, but what do you think?
You have to win 3 in a row to win 3 in a row.
To win 3 in a row.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't think the dynasty thing is as much in their head as a lot of people think it is. They're approaching this, and you could just tell, and just from watching this team over the last 3 years, you see the same amount of the same level of body language and intensity from this team in this series as we saw them when they were in the bubble, when they played Dallas. The only thing I think that is a little bit different is that you could see that in moments of when there's tough sequences, like I said before, they're a lot more poised. And then you also see that the moments, especially the goals, whether to tie the game or to take the lead, you can see this team is almost, it's like they're celebrating. It's like the biggest accomplishment they've had all year long. And I didn't really realize this until tonight when they showed the stat, but this is the first time in NHL history where a team has faced 350 win teams in the course of a playoff run. And I think this run means more to this team than anything else. Not because of its throw, it's because this is the best team that they could have possibly played. And I think every shift, every goal scored, every period, it's more so them proving to themselves that they could hang with the best, not just because they're the Stanley Cup champions defending, but because of, it's that competitive nature from this team. A lot of the guys, and I'm sure it's in the back of their head that, a lot has been made. Well, you played Dallas and then you ran into a depleted Montreal team. Well, listen, we're getting the best team in the league right now. And like I said on the last show, Colorado is the best team in the league. But what, you're proving that you could still battle back, and even on the verge of elimination, they showed that tonight, and that's what really impressed me. And I think that, I'm still a little nervous. The panic level is definitely up at like 155. Just because you're for tonight, guys, I'll tell you, I was living and dying with every shift. I was pulling the hair out of my face. That's how stressed out I was.
I think that's the difference between where the two teams are right now, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask me that question, if we have a game 7, I mean, you're at a 10 or a 1, whatever, which way you went. The stress level is at a high, which way you were going with that. But right now it's like all the pressure was on the Avalanche in this game.
Yeah.
You're up 3-1. You're at home. You can take these guys out in 5. Now, honestly, some pressure has been alleviated a little bit. Not as just like, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But now you're going back. Not a lot of people are probably going to be expecting you to win this thing. So now I think you can loosen up a little bit. And they were in that first period, they were a little bit tight. And I think the legs were a little bit stiff. And I don't anticipate they will. And maybe Andre Burakovsky comes back for game 6, which would be a big boon for the Avs. We'll see.
Yeah, I thought that after the Kucherov goal, I started to feel the air slowly come out of the balloon for at least the Avalanche fans in the building. And I kind of felt like, okay, they're starting to panic just a little bit. And then the fan base kind of got it together in the third period. But I really thought at that moment and I'm sure a lot of Lightning fans could feel this way too. It's like, all right, it's starting to shift. It's not so much we're not holding on to the edge of the cliff with our pinky finger right now. We're starting to climb back up just a little bit, and you're starting to see them kind of sweat. So, and I think that's going to be a huge confidence boost for Game 6. So, we usually do a show before games, but we spoke before. We're not going to be able to get one in before Game 6 on Sunday. So why don't we just cut to the fun part, and that's predictions.
Okay.
All right. So I will start off first since I went last on your show last time. I predicted for Game 5 that this was going to be a 2-0 shutout for Vasilevsky. Obviously, it didn't go that way. I'll take 3-2.
You lost money on that too, by the way.
I lost money on that.
I just want the world to know you lost money.
I don't think I told you, Kyle. I sent Chris. I bet $5 on Vasilevsky to pitch a shutout tonight. And you know what?
I wasn't going to say it was $5. I was going to make people believe that you spent thousands of dollars.
Listen, I only spend thousands of dollars when we do the BetOnline mixtape segment on Locked On NHL. I reserve the big bucks for the national show. Right here, where this show is currently bending to the current economic atmosphere right now. So
you bet a gallon of gas is what you bet.
Exactly. I bet that's a good one. But yeah. Exactly. I bet a gallon of gas, and listen, I'll take the 3-2 win. I hedge my bets and I put the money on the money line for the Lightning tonight. But heading to Game 6, like I said, I think how the Lightning played in this game, for the most part, they played a very good game. They were very disciplined. There was, like I said, in the second period, there was moments where I felt, at least from the Lightning point of view, that they kind of felt that they were starting to make Colorado sweat in certain situations. And I think that's going to give them a lot of confidence heading back home, especially in Game 6. And I think Vasilevsky is going to clean it up. I think John Cooper did a very good job tonight, kind of early on, kind of managing the minutes of ice time for some of the shifts. He juggled things around just a little bit. He had Riley Nash down on the fourth line. Like I said, Riley Nash has been playing fantastic, and that third line as well has been playing phenomenal. So I look for more contributions from those bottom two lines. And if the top two could come in, manage puck possession, I don't see why not this team can't have the same result in Game 6. So I'm going to say 3-2 Lightning at home, force it to 7 back to Colorado.
Who's going? Go ahead, Kyle.
I will say for Game 6, because you mentioned the word panic a couple times. It's not an emotion the Avalanche are feeling for at least another game. In Game 5, it was not tonight. In Game 6, if it's another loss, it's a not tonight moment. You don't feel panic till Game 7,
right?
But I don't think we get there. It's going to be 4-1 Colorado. They're going to get out early. They went through that right there almost moment. They let it get away. Not so fast, my friend. 4-1 Game 6.
I'm kind of just feeling like this is going to be won on a close game. I wanted Game 5 to be just in the bag with a few minutes left, so I didn't have to go through this, my blood pressure rising.
Glass
it went down a little
emotion.
bit. Yeah, I mean, it went down a little bit when that penalty was called with like 2.5 minutes left. And like, all right, well, this thing's pretty much over by that point. So, but I just don't feel like that's going to happen. I think for the Avs to win this, it's going to be a tight game. You're going to see it again. I just don't feel like Vasilevsky is going to give up 4 or 5 goals. And I'll just basically flip what happened in Game 5. It was 3-2 Lightning. I think it's going to be 3-2 Avalanche, and it's going to be almost similar to what we got in Game 5. It's going to be 2-2, and I'll say Avs get a goal just like Tampa did late, maybe even a little bit later. When did Tampa get that goal? There was like 6 or 7 minutes left, I think.
It was
6
and change. Yeah.
So I'll say Avs get a goal with less than 5 minutes left and take a 3-2 lead, and that's how it ends. 3-2. That's where I'm at.
All right. Well, anybody watching on YouTube, please go ahead, drop a comment below, whether it be Locked On Lightning or Locked On Avalanche. Let us know what your prediction is for Game 6. Will the Avalanche be skiing on the slopes of Amalie Arena afterwards and raising the cup, or are we gonna make the keeper of the cup use more of his JetBlue miles and head back to Denver, Colorado. So, guys, tell the people, the great nation of the NHL, where they could find your show.
We're on Twitter, LOPN_Avalanche, on Instagram, Locked On Avalanche, and then obviously, like you just said, Locked On Avalanche on YouTube. So yeah, that's where we're at.
All right, and you could follow my show at LO_Lightning on Twitter, Locked On_Lightning on Instagram, and of course on YouTube. Like I said, we hit the 300 mark for subscribers. I want that to be I want that to be 1,000 by Sunday night. So go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell, so as soon as the newest episode drops, you'll be notified and could watch.
Basically, all of our subscribers go subscribe to
Go subscribe.
Have it like that. Yeah.
Go subscribe. Yeah. Go ahead, and then all my subscribers will go follow you and make fun of you in the comment section. So yeah, hope maybe whether it be for a potential Game 7 or a post series reaction to possibly the Avalanche taking the cup on Game 6. At some point, we'll get all together and discuss that. So in the meantime, that's been it for this episode of Locked On Lightning, as well as the crossover with Locked On Avalanche. I'm your host, Adam Danker, along with Chris Masilli and Kyle Sullivan. We'll talk to you on the next one.